Join me as I dive into the wild world of space weather and try to figure out if it really could be our biggest threat on Earth. So, what is space weather exactly? You might be thinking, isn't that just weather in space? Well, not quite. Space weather refers to the dynamic and variable conditions on the sun and in the space environment that can affect Earth's magnetic field, upper atmosphere, and even our technological infrastructure. Think about it. Earth's climate is heavily influenced by the sun's energy, and space weather is a key part of that energy. But it's not just about the sun's warmth. It's about the intense energy bursts like solar flares and coronal mass ejections that can have a major impact on our planet. As we rely more and more on technology, from communication systems to power grids, we're becoming increasingly vulnerable to the effects of space weather. It's time to start paying attention to this often overlooked threat and figure out just how big of a deal it really is. Space weather can be incredibly destructive, and it's not just some hypothetical scenario. It's already happening. Solar flares can cause communication blackouts. Geomagnetic storms can wipe out power grids, and intense radiation can disrupt air travel and satellite operations. We've all heard of hackers and cyber threats, but what about the ultimate cyber threat, the sun itself? A massive solar flare could take down our entire internet infrastructure, and we'd be back to the dark ages in no time. The impacts of space weather can be felt across the globe, and it's not just a matter of inconvenience. It's a matter of national security. Imagine if a geomagnetic storm took out our power grid, leaving us without electricity for weeks or even months. Space weather events can be so powerful that they can even affect our climate. It's a little-known fact that geomagnetic storms can actually influence the formation of hurricanes and typhoons. So, what causes these intense space weather events? It all starts with the sun's magnetic field, which is constantly shifting and changing. When these magnetic fields get tangled up, they can release a huge amount of energy in the form of a solar flare. The science behind space weather is complex and multifaceted, but one thing is clear. It's a force to be reckoned with. From the Carrington event of 1859 to the Halloween storms of 2003, there have been countless instances of space weather wreaking havoc on our planet. One of the most significant space weather events in history was the Great Geomagnetic Storm of 1921, which caused widespread power outages and communication disruptions. If that same event were to happen today, the impact would be catastrophic. The potential for a massive space weather event to disrupt our entire way of life is very real. Imagine if a solar storm took out our power grid, our communication systems, and our transportation infrastructure all at once. We need to start taking space weather seriously, and we need to start preparing for the worst. It's not just a matter of if a major space weather event will occur, it's a matter of when. So, what can we do to mitigate the effects of space weather? We need to invest in research and development, improve our forecasting and warning systems, and work together as a global community to prepare for the inevitable. In conclusion, space weather is a threat unlike any other, and it's time we started taking it seriously. From communication disruptions to widespread power outages, the potential impacts are too great to ignore. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the wild world of space weather. If you're as fascinated by this topic as I am, be sure to check out my next video, where we'll dive deeper into the world of solar flares and geomagnetic storms. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about the threat of space weather?